Yeah, this is how you can complete the community center in less than 10 minutes. The idea here is using a bunch of glitches from an older version of Stardew Valley, specifically version 1.2. To start off, we're gonna play in either Japanese or Chinese. Why do you ask? Well, we're gonna need a huge name, and in 1.2 there isn't a character length limit for names in those languages, and no one really knows why. The main glitch we'll use is pretty well known, but anyway, it's called Item ID glitch. If an NPC says the internal ID number the game assigns to a certain item, that item shows up in the player's inventory. If you're on PC, you can test it by, for example, buying an India chicken with the ID of an item. Two other very similar but not as well known glitches we will use on this run are called... I guess they don't really have a name, so we can call them the special event glitch and the action glitch. And don't worry, I'll explain those later on. So we begin by pasting in those beautiful names for ourselves, our farm, and our favorite thing. Looks very good, I think. Here, we actually don't want to press the skip cutscene button, because we need to talk to Robin during said cutscene. And when we talk to her, she says our name, which kinda breaks the game a little by unlocking some stuff and giving us some items. So, since she gave us a bunch of items, it would be very good if we could free up some of our very limited inventory space. And in older versions, like the one we're using, we can do that by pressing Alt and Enter at the same time. If we keep pressing Alt Enter while holding our tools, they end up vanishing. Ooh, how buggy! Now, with our inventory clean, we can talk to her. And when we do, here's what happens. At this moment, you might be asking yourself, if we can spawn any item we want, why those specifically? Well, one of the very few types of items we can't manually spawn this way at the moment are the gold quality crops we need for the community center. So we'll have to plant those manually. But don't worry, because we already have the seeds along with fertilizer, iridium sprinklers, bombs to till the soil, of course, and even the fully fixed greenhouse. Yeah, this speedrun route is pretty insane. Let's take a step back and think about what we saw so far. Back when Robin said our beautiful name, she was forced to also say our farm name because of this line of text. It acts like a replacement for the name the player picked for their farm, whenever an NPC has to say it. Anyway, our farm name is what gave us the items we currently have in our inventory, since most of our farm name is just a bunch of item codes that we handpicked to make the game spawn the items we need. Just to give you a sense of how big our farm name actually is, currently you are seeing 85 lines on your screen, out of a total of 2,457 lines. Meaning that currently you are seeing just shy of 3.5% of the total farm name. So yeah, it's pretty big. Anyway, going back to the run, when Robin says her name, we also force the game to play the triggers that unlock the greenhouse and the community center. As a side note, this line of text only unlocks the greenhouse because after we complete the pantry on the community center, our reward is getting the greenhouse fixed. And by forcing Robin to say this command, the game acts as if we already have the reward for completing the pantry. So by that logic, we should have the greenhouse, so it ends up being fully fixed. In a couple of places throughout the run, we can trigger certain events we normally shouldn't be able to trigger using this glitch. That's what we called the special event glitch earlier. Now, going back to the run, after we plant everything, we need to check our mailbox before heading to town. And we get 10 million gold in the mail. The reason this happens has to do with the first 3 lines of our farm name. First, we modify the letter we get when we lose our watering can. We make it give us 10 million gold. And since we deleted our watering can earlier, we end up getting this letter as soon as we wake up. Now, with all this money, we can purchase the bigger backpacks to spawn even more items later on. And after that comes the most insane part of the entire route if you ask me. After picking up the backpack, we need to blow ourselves up. This trick isn't very well understood, but the idea here is that a couple of events can only happen under certain conditions. And a way to trigger a couple of those events is dying. In this case, if we take a look at our name again, right after we die, we force the game to start talking to Gus, who who tries to say both our pet name and our favorite thing. Since we still haven't adopted the cat, he says only our favorite thing, which spawns these items. Right after that, we now force the game to start the event where we are given the pet we chose earlier. Like pretty much every single thing we have been able to name so far, we end up naming our pet this monstrosity. Now, those last lines of our name just make sure we won't need to see the cutscene that plays when we die, and then it will warp us out of the clinic to speed everything up. Also, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. I literally beat the world record just for this video, so come on please. So, after all that, we can go back to the community center and deliver the items we just received. Then we blow ourselves up again, the whole Gus thing happens again, but this time we actually get different items, since now our pet actually exists and has a beautiful name. Again, the pet name has priority over the farm name, so we'll get items from it instead of our farm name. As a side note, since the whole Gus event is the same, we end up forcing the game to ask us if we want to adopt a pet again. So we end up with 2 cats. And if we die again, we can get another, and then another, and another, until we have the world's biggest cat farm, I guess. Anyway, after delivering those items, when we go back to the farm, Demetrius will be waiting for us. And yeah, you guessed it, he says our farm name and we get the rest of the items we need. After all that, we can wait a few days until our crops grow, while we pray we get enough gold quality crops, because if we don't, we can end up losing the run, which happened to me a couple of times. And then, finally, we can deliver everything to the community center as fast as we can, while we run between the bundles during the cutscenes. We can move during cutscenes using something called animation cancelling. Even though we can't see the character, I'm still moving under all the white fog. Basically, you can cut pretty much any animation short if you press R, right shift and del. And that includes the animations from cutscenes. As a side note, the full unedited run is on the description of the video in case you want to check it out. And after all that, as soon as the fog from the last bundle clears up, we're finally done. As of the day of recording this video, I currently hold the world record, beating the game in 8 minutes and 28 seconds. This route is truly amazing. It was made by Sue, who is an unbelievably skilled Japanese speedrunner. Now, just like me when I heard about this run, you might be wondering, isn't there any way to spawn those gold quality items? And the truth is that we currently don't know any way to do this in version 1.2. However, we can spawn as many items of any quality as we want in the newest versions of the game, with a brand new glitch, that earlier we called the action glitch. If we use this wonderful site that automatically copies the text we need to spawn the items we choose, we can, with a single chicken, spawn as many items as you can possibly fit into your inventory, like so. Unfortunately, we can't do the whole run on the newest version of the game, since most of the glitches we use don't work anymore. So, basically, for the run to get even shorter, we need to either find crazier shortcuts for the current version, or we need to find a way to spawn gold quality items in older versions. Well, if you manage to find any new glitches, please tell me in the comments. I read every comment I get. So, yeah, have fun with it. And subscribe and turn on the bell, please. For the love of God, it took so long to make this video. Bye.